good Saturday. I guess just good Saturday. It's early evening. Some places it's late afternoon, and others it's morning in other parts of the world. So I guess it's probably also Sunday summer. So good weekend, folks. I'm in the name of DT. I'm going to be joined by my friend Philion on comms, as well as 2D Tones tracking for us. We have a very exciting race that I'm looking forward to seeing and a little bit nervous about, just because this involves my team. This is a playoff race between WJPDTB and Did You Check Your Boot, the third match of this series where the teams are 1-1 at the moment. So I had two options here. I could sit back and just watch and relax, or I could talk about it and enjoy it. And I chose to talk about it. So looking forward to watching this. WillardJBradley versus Tam. Two excellent runners, very experienced, very capable, very, very skilled. The list goes on and on. This is going to be a great race that I'm very excited for. Philion, I know it's Saturday for you, so good Saturday to you.
Well, good Saturday to you, DT. I'm just pleased and so proud of you that you were able to pronounce your team name correctly. It's bamboozled a ton of people, so
I've been practicing.
It's a good sign for the whole of Team WillardJBradley that you've been able to start that off on a good foot today.
Sure is. So for the power pendant, the game modes have been a bit different for each race, where the runners, depending on seed, get to pick a total of 3 settings, where the Saha bot will then randomize the remaining choices. None of this is mystery, though. The mode is fully known in advance. But today we have, let's start with the most probably known and familiar settings for any runner to adapt to. We have randomized swords, which happens all the time, and hard item pool is probably the next easiest of these settings today to get used to. Beyond that, though, we also have all dungeons, so it's going to be a long one, plus enemy shuffle, so it's going to be a deadly one, plus inverted, so it's just not going to be fun. Starting both in Link's house, just 20 rupees. It's been a long time since I've personally played an inverted seed, and I do not envy these runners, but like any good mode, you just practice it a bunch and you will be familiar with it.
This is the mode where you do 3 heart hammer blind, right?
3 heart hammer blind, 3 heart Cane of Burna blind, 4 heart green mail moth, 4 moon pearl, even cold stare. I don't know. It's very interesting.
Sounds awful. I'm in.
One thing that I'm going to point out right away is that around the world we've got a bunch of these neat tree pulls that Tam actually took advantage of to get some extra bombs quickly and start right at Hype Cave, which that was a hammer. So this is already a really, really strong opening. That's your good source of offense for the moment, while Willard just headed straight left to Stumpy and going to play a little bit of the archery game just to get some money for the digging game, one screen to the west.
Willard, of course, knows the trick to this screen. If you stand in that spot and then fire your bow, just as the targets are in that spot he's standing, or he's firing them at, you just get the full benefit of the game every time. Yeah, intended by the guy beating his drum, probably not effective at cleaning him out of money. Extremely.
Very, but they seem to have an infinite amount of money. This seems to work for 2 or 3 cycles, and then it actually does get a little bit out of sync for whatever reason. But yeah, I know that Willard making this choice to go left instead of hoping for that tree pull, especially with enemy shuffle, that tree pull can be a bit risky, and he's aware of that. So I do believe that's the reason that he avoided that for now. As soon as he gets bombs, that'll probably be a quick place to go to. Inverted is a very, very dangerous mode. As you can see, we're starting in the Dark World, where normally, with normal enemy shuffle, it's already scary, because so many things will do 2, even 3 full hearts of damage to you. But with enemy shuffle, there's still a lot of things.
Well, just don't get hit, right?
I mean, he only got hit once, and I guess that was fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Tam hasn't gotten hit at all, so.
Tam's got the extra heart as well.
This is true.
So Willard dug up a glove at Digging Game, and that's really good because he's got, as he's showing us right here, 5 50-50 chances for a bomb drop. Only getting 2 of them, less than expected value. That's just what happens when you're unlucky.
Really? The entire diagonal of that arrow is 50-50s? I actually didn't know that.
Guaranteed shot at a 50-50 bomb drop, as Willard would say. But yeah, early glove in inverted is fantastic for actually being able to farm those bombs.
That's actually really good. Yeah, so he's not going to be... I mean, we're 3 minutes in. You can't say anyone's behind on anything. It's early game routing. Go for what's most efficient and safe. But yeah, he's going to pick up his hammer in a moment. And that wonderful fourth heart. So, the game's going to be significantly easier early on.
That's a 33% increase in his health.
It's slightly more than that, actually, but I'll let you have this one.
Math's hard, okay? It's my day off work.
That's fair. That's true. So I know that we did get a map check early on from Tam as well, and I was looking at Willard's screen at the time. The only thing I did happen to notice was, I believe, Blue Pendant at Skull Woods. Otherwise, I don't personally know, but our tracker seems to be filled in.
I was gonna say, I can tell you everything, because I see what the tracker did. So we got Red Crystal in Mire, we've got a Green Pendant in Ice Palace, and then boring, old, standard, get you into GT crystals at Pod, Swamp, Thieves Town, and Turtle Rock.
Mm-hmm. Of course, with this being all dungeons, it's slightly less important to know what's where, but of course could still have some implications as we go down the road. Yeah, I was wondering if that was going to be a bush crab or like one of those like hoppy skull guys.
Nope, it's a hoarder crab with single rupees. How awful.
So we'll see Tam going through Village of Outcast, starting with C-shape. Not a lot we can do here. Actually, that's not true. We have bombs and we have a hammer, so technically everything we can do here. Thieves Town, this is one of the scarier parts of inverted mode, though, is the low health in the Dark World, going through the Dark World dungeons.
Just don't get hit.
Just don't get hit.
Willard,
you got hit.
I told him what to do.
It's another good bit of offense. Doesn't help with any of the bosses that we have accessible, or any of the boss that we have accessible right now, though.
No, it does make Palace of Darkness a little more attractive to run over to. Granted, Dark Room Randomizer, never a fun time.
No, that's a scary one for sure.
I mean, funny to watch, but
yeah,
hard to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like Tam is going to do that dive into Thieves Town. We said earlier 4 Heart Hammer Blind. Of course, this is Randomizer, so... Wait, are the bosses shuffled as well?
This is just enemy shuffle.
Oh, so it's still going to be a 4 Heart Hammer Blind. Gotcha.
It's going to be a... Well, I mean, maybe we'll have 5 hearts by then? Maybe we'll have...
No, it's 4.
Okay.
It's got to be 4.
I mean, we certainly won't have Blue Mail being hard item pool. I believe that was reduced down to just green. Getting hit by a bush crab and the red guard on that bridge. Red guard's quick, so nice of Tam to be able to just take it out even quicker with that hammer.
It's really good dodging of the spike roller there. Those things are really nasty. They'll really test your knowledge of Link's movement.
There's a lot of things here that are really nasty. We can't see that Hinox anymore. Now we can. That red beetle is chasing after Tam like crazy. I don't know where anyone is right now.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. You just reset the screen until the Hinox doesn't go straight south.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can get there before the bunny beam does its thing.
Right, yep, you just keep running and the timing works out for that. So already we're seeing some of the big potential dangers that Randomizer brings. Willard almost getting hit there.
Sorry, Tam got a heart container, which just means that I was wrong.
Well, Tam also died, which means that immediately that heart container did not help. So, as I might or might not have just said, Randomizer's showing its face already. Yeah, very difficult mode. This is not going to be an easy early game by any means.
And I think we had 2 items in the front of Thieves Town, so Tam is going to sit on that for now and head up to Skullwoods.
It's honestly not a bad play. Hammer Blind, even on the script, is not a very easy boss, and if you happen to die, the refights are even more difficult. So you're probably hoping to find a sword prior to your first fight, just to make the whole thing a little bit easier. But the interesting thing right now, Skullwood's only having 2 items, and we can't even get to the back. We do have the bow and the hammer, and there's quite a bit of the Palace of Darkness that's accessible without the lamp. So that might actually be pretty good place to get to, and we're gonna head there after this anyway, because there is nothing else at the moment.
Well, if we get Moon Pearl, that's Light World access.
That would be. That would be.
Otherwise, we are, you know, potentially looking at just an awful lot of walking around the world.
Getting pinballed here. Nice job to face up quickly and get that last hammerhead in. So that's both items out of Skullwoods, a blue rupee and a piece of heart. Willard in the back of Thieves Town, we're checking a couple of new things that Tam did not. See what happens
just do
here.
your Hellway Randomizer. Nothing can go wrong.
Release the gold bee, though. That's actually not bad. I don't know the name of the flying enemy that spits out those bombs, but
it's been a long time since I've actually seen someone take out one of those enemies. And the bee is like the best way to do that.
The bee was very, very nice there, yeah. Those enemies are obnoxious enough even when you're running through Lake Hylia in a normal game. Like in the Dark World. Or around Swamp Palace where they normally... But, yeah. We're about to see the Thieves Town Attic from Willard, heading over to Pyramid and Palace of Darkness. Catfish also available with that wonderful, wonderful glove. Just the compass upstairs. So still a chance we could see the remaining items before blind. And that might actually be good, because that might... I mean, you go for blind then, if you die, it's not that big of a deal if you got all the items. You can revisit this down the road. The one crystal is not gonna hurt anything in the short term. Yeah.
If you know you're leaving an item on blind, you do fall into that temptation of I gotta take this boss out. And you can sink several refights into that. Well, blind's gonna have an item.
Yep.
Good news is this basement's been fairly tame so far. Willard's been able to keep 4 hearts. Or full hearts, I should say.
Full 5 hearts. And there's your Moon Pearl. Okay, so that's actually not going to help us defeat blind. But it's a Moon Pearl.
Yeah, that gets us into the Light World? Is that correct?
That would be correct. So
I know some things about this game. That's always good.
That is the definition of inverted. You start in the Dark World and you find your way to the Light World. But as expected, we're going to give this boss a shot. I suspect, especially with Light World access, not going to do this more than once. Maybe it just works out. First phase still isn't too bad. But the biggest problem right here is 5 hearts and green. Fireball's doing 1 full heart. Any contact damage at all doing 2. So
I know that, yeah, Willard put in a lot of work a couple of years ago at finding a consistent setup for this fight, but he's really been driven off of that.
Nailed it. He actually, with 2 hearts, got hit by a fireball and was able to iframe through contact damage with another one of the heads. So that was really, really, really close.
Yeah, so he gets a bug net for doing that, which is great, because now he can save fairies, which would make any potential hammer blind fight he has to do a lot safer.
Meanwhile, you see that room that Tam just dealt with in Palace of Darkness with several of those bomb-dropping flying guys. If anybody in chat knows the actual name of those things,
Asher dropped it earlier. So if we trust him, then yeah.
I do. I do.
Heroes or creepies, I'm told. So I don't think Tam has found anything other than small keys so far.
Nothing at the moment. But Palace of Darkness is Palace of Darkness. It's a big place. All right.
Yeah.
Eastern Palace has the remaining 5/6. Desert is our third pendant. And looks like Willard's just going to start with these Lost Woods checks. Kind of like this. Again, I haven't personally seen much inverted in quite a while, so not as familiar with all of the routes that are most efficient. So it's cool for me to be able to see this and kind of analyze it as we go. But this makes perfect sense, and then you can just go through Kakariko straight south, or if you wanted to, head over to Sanctuary and just walk back upstairs and then go to Kakariko. Choice is yours.
So Tam takes the Death Warp in Palace of Darkness, has picked up more small keys, and also a big key.
Finally, and there are a lot of small keys in this dungeon. There's still only one big key. How many small keys are there?
At least 2. What's the actual number? 6?
At least 2. No, there are 6 small keys in this dungeon in total. It's a lot. It's the most within chests out of any dungeon. Anti-fairy and a wall master.
That is a nasty bridge. I don't think we'll see any hammer yumps on there.
I
mean, it's Randomizer.
I'd be shocked if we did.
Anyways, but
True. I mean, even a dark room like this can be a little bit scary. We don't have a way to see where we are, aside from shooting these arrows. Fortunately, that fire snake is trapped inside of the portal area. However, if they get to the top of the room, they can actually sneak out and get out into the main part that you're walking around. Doing some crafty dodges there. Gonna go for the dark maze.
yeah,
I'm
why
very
not?
curious to see how this works. I mean, you're here. You
Although
do
it
try it.
works,
You absolutely try it. It's not going to be easy. It can be difficult enough even with the normal enemy layout, but when you've got enemies you can't see that could just be flying around, it's scary. Willard getting a shovel from the back of the well, up to 7 hearts, so rather quickly we're becoming much more comfortable with our health situation as we go through this.
Yeah, game's easy now.
Basically. What's interesting though, isn't that half of the total number of hearts that we could have in this mode?
Probably, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's only 40% of the hearts we pick up, roughly. Ooh, there's an ether medallion in the chicken hut.
Tam's still trying to navigate this dark maze.
I think he's kind of safe from enemies at this point. It's just a question of getting to that lower chest.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, the hazard seems to be gone, but it's easy to get disoriented here. Trying to find your way. Titan's Mitt in the back of the tavern.
Okay.
We'll take it. Helps a bit.
And Tam is going to save and quit out of there.
I was just starting to wonder, as absolutely commendable of an effort as that was, after a certain point you have to start looking at your timer and realizing you've been in there for a couple of minutes, and it might be best to come back another day, or another 10 minutes from now or so. Whenever.
Is he going to show us catfish in that time then?
I think so. That's what that looks like. That is the only thing up this way. Meanwhile, there's a hookshot over at the race game, so that moon pearl out of the back of Thieves, it's actually going to come up sooner than later for Tam, because there's really just nothing else. Palace of Darkness isn't going to be attempted again, and Catfish is the only other check I believe that Tam has available.
I mean, he can go up the mountain if he really wants, but...
Oh, man. Old Man Cave in Randomizer.
It's a bad idea.
It's a horrible idea. You know, some people have even forfeited playoff races in a tournament because of that cave.
Wow. I can only imagine someone doing that. Sadly, I didn't see that race.
Oh, nobody actually saw it because there was no lamp, so it was all in the dark.
Don't the Lionels show up on the dark anyway?
Well, their fireballs do at least. All 2 or 3, I don't remember how many there were. Just a heart piece from Catfish, so not any sort of helpful progression. I guess helpful is relative, though. Oh, I don't know what the heck that was. Artifact of Randomizer, I guess.
Oh, I didn't catch it.
Oh, just wait. I'm sure that underneath the next, like, bush or something,
Oh, I see.
we'll have, like, a
that was a
crazy
weird
spinning
thing.
head.
Yeah. We'll chalk that up to Randomizer. We got a powder out of the dam for Willard. That is potential progression when he eventually finds himself back in Kakariko, which is nowhere near as convenient as it usually is.
He's gonna pick that up. Interesting.
I like this double back for the boomerang. Tam is gonna.
Oh, he's just gonna bottle that fairy too. Why not?
Yeah, it's for the blind fight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a grab.
That's a grab for Tam.
You know, I gotta say, I'm really glad running through this first room. We had the one roller that was on a lower layer near, like, the vanilla big key chest.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I'm really glad that the game doesn't treat those the same as it does with, like, any of the fire bars or fire snakes. Whereas the layer that you're on doesn't matter, you'll still take damage. I'm really glad to know that that's not the case with the rollers.
Yeah.
Waiting patiently to avoid that one.
Yeah. A couple of hits from the anti-fairy is worth it to actually get through the room. Nice dodge.
Oh, there's a fish. I think 2 of my favorite things about Randomizer, Overworld, or just not necessarily Overworld, Enemy Randomizer, is seeing where fish and chickens just randomly show up. What's your favorite thing about Randomizer, Philian?
It's the crabs under the pots in the dungeon.
Fair enough.
If we include boss shuffle in that question, then the answer is 100% all of the time Helmicopter, but I don't think that's in scope today.
No, I do know that you enjoy that one. I've seen you lose it a couple of times lately.
There were 5 in one race.
But Trinex at Ice Armos? That's got to be one of your favorites too, after that.
Shh. We have no boss shuffle today.
I know. I'm just reminiscing. We've got Willard fake flippering through the Zora area. Kind of a scary thing. Actually, definitely a scary thing with Randomizer on.
I do not understand how that crow didn't hit him.
I never will.
Hitboxes. But it worked out.
Did he not actually go to Zora, though? To at least see what was on the ledge? I know he doesn't have the money, but...
He's poor.
Ledge info is good, at least. So nothing on Highway Island. You notice the staircase that was there. Another one of the bits added with inverted. Since you cannot mirror from Dark World to Light World in this mode, they had to make certain locations accessible through different means. Oh! Did you see... I do not
understand how Willard did not get hit at Beamos. Willard, explain this game to me.
That was on his face. Fake flippering back out. Fortunately able to swim away before that Beamos gets another look at him. As Tam is finally picking up that Moon Pearl. And it's at this point going to have a little bit of catch-up to do. There were a lot of items between the hookshot, the mitts, and these medallions that Willard has up at this point.
Tam's big thing that he's done that Willard hasn't, of course, is that trip into Palace of Darkness, which didn't really yield anything and did cost some time in the dark.
That's the case, yep. Obviously, with an all-dungeon seed, though, any number of things in the next half hour or 40 minutes could greatly change the outcome. We could have plenty of lead shifts down the road. But we'll see. Tam going in with 4.5 hearts instead of the 5 that Willard had, which effectively makes no difference.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's basically the same.
So we'll see how Tam handles this. Phase 1 down. Again, phase 1 with the hammer really isn't that bad. If you're used to the sword version, it's kind of the same idea, except you don't get all 3 hits immediately. The third one's just a little bit delayed. Oh, but Tam also had a potion.
Very good.
Okay, so not a problem then. This is fine. Nice room outside of Eastern with giant rollers there.
So, Willard's going to find the lamp in here, and that's going to give us Death Mountain access?
What else do we have? I guess there's... Wait, he went down through Mini Moldarm. I didn't... So I guess... I'm trying to remember exactly what he did, trying to watch both runners. I believe...
he's at the castle still.
Yeah, Uncle and Castle. Including Back of Escape, so... Still a number of places the lamp could be.
Zora?
Zora? Yeah, that is one of them. Okay, this is unbelievably healthy. 25 minutes into a hard item pool seed. Like, healthy to the point that, yeah, Randomizer's not really a concern for most of the game at this point.
Yeah, that takes a lot of the tax off. And then, in a super pinch, he's got powder. Powder that Tam's going to have soon as well.
Mm-hmm.
This takes a lot of the heat off of Randomizer. Hard mode, of course, reduces your potential number of hearts, but doesn't reduce the number of hearts in the item pool, in the sense that if the seed was going to give you a lot of hearts early, you still get those hearts early.
Very similar to swords, where there's still 4 in the item pool, but you're not going to wind up with the butter sword at the end of a hard mode seed.
That's okay. Who needs that one anyways?
Neither of these runners do.
I mean, it's kind of nice
sure.
if you run into an ice Trinex, but that's not happening today.
Nope. Seems like another tame dark room in terms of enemies. It's always good when you can at least see one.
Yeah.
I mean, here we're seeing 3 out of the 4 that are normally in this room. And they're no concern.
Hookshot handles all those really nicely.
Mm-hmm. And this is why I'm glad that item functionality was not a toggle, simply the item pool. Because Hookshot would not stun them, if that were the case.
Ooh. So, speaking of Back of Escape, Tam looks to be headed to North Lightworld stuff. Graveyard Ledge first, and then I expect we'll drop down into Back of Escape, which will show us something that Willard has not touched yet. A piece of heart. How lovely.
Okay, this actually looks very manageable. Quite a laggy room, but Cane of Burn is a great way to get through this safely. A lot of things in that room are going to deal a full heart of damage regardless, but that's actually good, or rather better than a surprise Hinox. So all in all, the Back of Eastern here has not been bad, but I'm going to hold my breath on that because we still have one more room with 8 enemies. Hi.
Hi.
Bomb guards.
It's okay, they don't move, so they're easy to hit. Right, the biggest challenge we all know in this room is that the skeletons are going to move out of the way of your bow. You just don't have to worry about that here.
You know what? I like this too. Burna actually does some pretty good damage per second. So that's a nice way to get a lot of hits in on a lot of enemies very quickly.
Yeah, the lag is painful at first, but then you think about how hard it is to actually maneuver and hit with the hammer, and it's pretty good.
And you don't want to use your arrows in a situation like that because, hey, I mean, Armos is still here.
Willard, what is this Armos fight? You let that guy get away. I'm disappointed. Also, you're attacking the walls. What did they do to you?
So it looks like Tam got a mushroom out of the back of Escape and is going to turn that in immediately.
Yeah.
Curious then
I think
that a fake powder won't be able to occur, but we know that regular powder is available near and really won't be a concern.
Yeah, the ideal situation for him here is actually that he gets a 300 rupee drop, I think, that he can just take to Zora.
Almost.
Yeah. I turn 300 rupees, or I make 300 rupees from pieces of heart all the time.
So, kind of seems like Willard has Death Mountain on his mind at this point. Kana Burna in a full tank of magic. This'll be fine. So we have two medallions right now, knowledge of where the third one is. All in all, this is, for the first half hour, into an inverted Randomizer seat. I think we're sitting pretty for the moment.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
It's fairly comfy. Quite a number of checks that are available to us. Question in chat regarding the Kana Burna, whether or not it still makes you invincible in hard mode. This is hard item pool, so the answer would be yes. If it were hard functionality or possibly beyond that, the functionality is what affects Burna's invincibility, the hookshot stunning enemies, and so on. So that is not a concern, being that we only have hard item pool.
Yeah, you don't see hard item functionality run much anymore. I think everyone kind of decided, hey, this isn't actually fun.
Yeah, it's not the most enjoyable, but that could just be my preference.
I don't know about you, DT. I like to have fun when I play video games.
I do too. That is the purpose.
So one consequence of Tam taking the route he did is he's gone clockwise from Kakariko and skipped the race game entirely. That means no hookshot right now.
No hookshot, no Titansmith. Those were in the tavern.
Yeah.
And given that Ham has the bow and is in this area, I'm almost wondering if we'll see Sahasrara on Eastern before getting back to Kakariko.
We very well might.
Setting up a fake flipper. I wonder if we'll at least get some knowledge about the Zora ledge. No, interesting. Okay, no, this is very, very cool. Using this portal that you don't see as often, but it's a great way to get back to Kakariko. And that's exactly what Tam is doing. I really like the use of that portal.
Yeah, when you don't have the money for Zora, why bother going into that area at all? Especially if it's an Randomizer and you're afraid of doing prolonged fake flippers.
Which, I mean, that's perfectly reasonable. The number of times that even in the main Lake Hylia screen, you'll have a thief that just chases you down and runs a lot faster than you can swim. It's like, great. So yeah, Randomizer runner is well aware that there's a huge risk in doing that.
I am so glad Willard picked up the boomerang, because the hookshot will never stun your Gibdos, but the boomerang will.
Yeah, no, that was actually a really, really good pickup. Probably for a reason just like that, just to prepare for it. And we have access to the Quake Medallion now with that cape. should we wind up needing it. I don't know that we'll go back and get it anytime soon, but it's there.
Mhm. Ah, and there, finally, after half an hour of play, is our first sword on the floating island held up by a bridge.
Really amazing that a bridge is capable of doing that.
You know, the people who made Hyrule know what they're doing.
That's true. There's certainly better examples of puzzles that just shouldn't exist, but they do.
I mean, if they can make Paradox Cave work, surely they can have a good island.
Yeah, what we don't see because of the game's perspective is that bridge like takes us down to ground level and the floating island's not really floating. It's just that, I don't know. It's something like that. There's another sword.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is a real comfy seed. At least at this point. Plenty of room, but I'd be feeling pretty good right now.
I am not familiar with Willard's Harapot setup, but he seems to be.
As long as he is, he's the one that's doing it. Apparently he's not as familiar with it as perhaps he would hope right this moment.
So this is Randomizer. Things can go wrong. I'm not sure if he picked up a drop from an enemy while it was still floating.
Mm-hmm.
Or something on the screen was just messing with the variables.
Just gonna take a look inside a spectacle. There's another sword.
Okay. Just put all the swords on the mountain, locked behind the lamp that we have not seen hide nor hair of. Tam did do the magic bat check with his powder, and I think just got 10 rupees out of it, 10 arrows out of it, aka nothing important.
Wow. I guess the only other curiosity in terms of Dark World access could be where's the flute? Or Death Mountain. I think I said Dark World. We're on Death Mountain, that's where I meant.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point too, you really have to wonder, maybe a trip into Palace of Darkness is in the near future for Willard, once we're done with these Dark Death Mountain checks.
Yeah, he should have enough health to be able to manage it, and Sword makes the maze easy enough to not get lost in.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Tam's still working on a little bit of this item cleanup. Eastern Palace looking pretty good right now. We'll check the shovel spot first.
And a hard reset from Willard to preserve both the magic and the potion he used to get all that magic. Actually, no, just the potion. What am I talking about? So, Willard has not done Super Bunny or Hookshot Cave yet, has he?
No, but those are going to be next, because there's no reason to go to Aga Tower right now. I mean, Ganon's Tower. I mean, Firelion, which tower is it?
It's the one here that does the thing and puts you in the light world after you reflect the wizard's energy back at him.
So in terms of other light world checks, we do still have the front of the castle that we have not yet seen.
But wait, TT.
We're about to see it. Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of the light world, although is Tam skipping Uncle?
Is he? Maybe.
Well, we got a mirror out of
He did that earlier.
And a book. Tam very well could have. I did not see
Whoa.
if that was the case.
Oh, DT, please.
I guess we're using this green potion.
We got a mirror, and a book,
Mm-hmm.
and a red boomerang.
Yeah.
Some people like the red boomerang. I know they're wrong, but we still got to shout it out.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. So nothing in Super Bunny. Hmm.
Well, I mean, the book gives us access to both of the tablets.
Tablets, yes. I believe in Inverted, that's also the only access to Desert as well.
Mm-hmm.
And chat put bringing up
Turtle
an
Rock.
interesting point. I don't believe that we saw Spiral Cave either. But I may have missed that as well.
Oh yeah, because Spiral Cave's awful.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to walk through it.
Drop down, and if you do Spiral Cave, then you can't do Mimic Cave because you also have to drop down to that. Also, you can do Laser Bridge with the drop down.
That's one of the real interesting things about the Inverted World is that you could drop down to that Light World spot and then mirror to the Dark World,
right?
And Laser Bridge is accessible to you right away.
Right. This is why Inverted is no fun sometimes. It's because of all the things you have to drop down on Death Mountain to do.
There's
over and over.
There's a lot to keep track of, and it can sometimes put some really interesting logic into play.
And over.
I'll admit right now, I'm not going to remember all of them. Chat has absolutely been helping out filling in some of these blanks. Inverted is a very advanced mode on its own, I would say.
I want to know why so many people in chat have been playing so much Inverted.
Maybe it's a popular mode. If you were to select any one mode to seriously up the difficulty of the game and put it into an advanced state,
yeah,
I guess the two that would come to mind right away are Cross Keys and Inverted, like on their own with no other modifiers. So we'll get a Smith check as Tam is, I believe, trying to get through the dark part of the escape sequence. I definitely saw a Beamos shoot a laser in there. Every other enemy seems to be invisible, and there was a lot of damage being taken, so that is not a friendly area. Okay, so now we'll get the Uncle check. You know what? This actually makes sense.
Does it?
Perhaps this is part of the plan, like Death Warp back to Uncle.
But why not just do Uncle first?
You know, I'm thinking of it, and I'm not sure that it makes much of a difference.
Yes.
I mean, you could always say, yeah, maybe Uncle has the lamp, or maybe Uncle has a sword, but I mean, it's rando, so any place could have those, mostly. But nothing there. I didn't really see anything of interest through Hyrule Castle either.
Willard got another B in a bottle. That's not exciting. I don't know why I even tried to make it sound exciting. It extremely wasn't.
Well, yeah, we might not see the use of it the way that we did with the first one, since we have swords and whatnot at this point.
You know what? I hate doing hammer pegs without the boots as it is. I can't decide if I think this screen is obnoxious or hilarious for Willard.
I'm just glad that Mimic is cooperating and basically staying out of his way.
Yeah.
Just kidding. All right. Welcome back to the overworld. Here's a Beamos.
So this works out nicely for Willard. He can take the portal to get to the light world and drop off the purple chest and then check Ether Tablet, and then from there, Bombos Tablet, and then from there just go to Desert and Mire.
And you know what's interesting? Again, another one of the finer points of inverted. In addition to Agana's Cave and the desert area, we also have checkerboard that's going to be available to us as we go over there.
Oh, yeah. Man, I gotta start remembering some of these places. Or just keep doing don't play inverted.
No. I was going to say, I'm not sure. Oh, well, there's the boots. Cool. K45 is another one that's accessible from the light world in inverted, but I believe both runners have checked that already since they've had the shovel for some time.
There's a big 300 on Bombos, giving Willard even more money. He will be set for the rest of the game now.
Tam going through Eastern Palace, which we've seen the entirety of. There's nothing exciting here. The enemy layout not really going to be an issue, but there's not going to be any sort of fun progression here. A 12th heart, though. Both runners have 12 hearts, by the way. Okay, so having a little bit of trouble with the red beetles, trying to avoid these dead rock. Those beetles will still do 2 hearts of damage.
Yeah, and if you get a dead rock stuck in the doorway, or in front of the doorway, you're going to be waiting a long time just to continue moving through the dungeon. Oh, right. Tam still doesn't have a sword.
Correct, yeah. All 3 swords are up on Death Mountain.
Why doesn't he just slash? No, he needs to get to Death Mountain.
We saw Tam switching through the items there. Can't actually use the hookshot on the Stalfos. It will stun them, but it won't deal any damage. So I had to switch to the hammer in this case and take them out that way. Good idea here. Bottle a fairy or 2 before moving on to the rest of these dark rooms.
So on the one hand, purple chest, very obnoxious spot for boots to be. On the other hand, not so bad when you have mirror. Because it saves you a little bit of backtracking through the worlds. But having them kind of on the way to Desert Palace, really nice for Willard. I expect Tam will get that same benefit from it.
Still no sign of logical Death Mountain access either, so I'm wondering, does Tam make the same play that Willard did and go up in the dark? Or does Tam stay a bit more in logic and actually go for Smith's at this point? Which in a way might be better, but the swords in the mirror are going to be very, very important.
Yeah. Yeah. Where the heck is a fire source? Because Willard can't beat Desert Palace without one.
You're right. Zora? I mean, what else do we have?
I mean, Bonk Rocks or King's Tomb.
I suppose. That's true. Those are both in logic now.
I don't like them, but they're there.
And nope, that's right. He can't check either of those right now because we're starting in the Dark World.
So, what was the medallion for Meyer? I thought it was Quake, Ether, but maybe I missaw.
You know, I absolutely did not see it. Chat saying Bombos. Our tracker saying Bombos.
I'm a little surprised Willard didn't dip into the dungeon then, just because he's there.
You know, I'm actually not in this case. There's enough other things that he can do right now, and getting back to it isn't super inconvenient.
You got the boots. You can get there fast. you don't have a fire source, so you can't do the left side, and there's a 50-50 chance that logically you're supposed to have a fire source to get there, which does weight into how likely it is to actually do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely can't beat the dungeon because you don't have Samaria. So, yeah, okay.
Got to be a little bit scary, though, given that Skullwoods is a very early check that's open and inverted that he's only just now getting through, close to 50 minutes in.
It's Willard. He doesn't worry about putting off early checks.
I'm trying to give chat something to think about.
He just chuckles to himself and goes, ha, I should have done that earlier.
Ha ha ha, the
look,
funny
it was
item.
fine. There was nothing there.
Yeah, no, we knew that. We knew that. But what if the boots were there?
He got the boots.
But they could have still been there.
The only time the boots were in Skullwoods, DT, was when they were on Willard's feet. And he went in there.
Okay, so you're giving me a technicality here. The boots were in Skullwoods.
Ah, shoot.
Alright, so do you see what Tam's doing right now, though?
Yes, I do.
Sticking with the logic. That's going to force these boot checks onto Tam sooner than later because Tam has no book. The book was also on Dark Death Mountain.
That's probably good for him.
I think at this point it is because nothing that Willard got from the mountain has immediately opened too much up.
No.
So, I mean, we could reasonably suspect that those are things that Tam will wind up doing anyway. But for now, sticking with what's in logic is actually going to be beneficial.
Yeah, we got the flippers from the Bonk Rocks. That does not a ton. I guess it gives us all of Swamp Palace now.
It also gives us Zora, which we have plenty of money for, and he's in the area.
Well, we already had Zora. Zora Ledge, though.
Have we seen Zora?
Yeah.
Tam?
As in we've already had access to Zora, but we haven't seen either runner actually go to Zora.
Oh, there's our lamp.
That is our lamp.
Got it. No, now I understand what you're saying. But yes, we have not actually seen the Zora check yet.
Or the check on Zora Ledge, which...
Oh, that's nice. That's actually not such a bad back of escape room.
No.
It's just always fun when you drop in and suddenly you've got two big things just charging at you from different directions. I actually like this play here that he's got the mirror out right now. If the small key is in Sanctuary, he can just mirror, wind up in the back of Escape again, and go check the sewers chest right away.
Oh, that's neat. That's neat.
But it's not there, so... So yeah, we are going to get the Zora check, and then like you said, Swamp is fully open to us. That's a good dense play. That's a crystal. Again, this is all dungeons, for those of you that might have just popped in. All dungeons inverted with enemy shuffle. So Swamp Palace is pretty appealing. That Fire Source, if we want to, lets us go back to Desert.
Ice Palace is technically available. A little less enticing when you don't have Samaria.
It is available, though, and that's a good point. I believe that the Hera Big Q is in the basement, so we didn't have a Fire Source, which is why we couldn't beat it, logically. So that's another option. Lamp and Flippers, the two most recent items that Willard got, opening up several dungeons. So, again, sitting in a pretty good spot. Still need Fire Rod, still need Ice Rod, still need the Cane of Samaria.
So I expect Tam is gonna do those same checks in a second here now that he's got his boots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna dash over to Desert for some basic checks here first.
Right. Take a look at what's on the ledge, get that information. Go over to Checkerboard, Agonist Cave, avoid the fire bar. Those are always fun. I didn't see what was on the ledge, but you're not interrupting me. So between entering, or the lack of a book for Tam right now, not being able to enter Desert, not being able to even read what's on the Bombos tablet, that's actually not going to hurt at the moment. There's nothing there.
No, the only sense in which it hurts is that it's checks Tam might end up doing later, but he is getting the boots, in a fairly reasonable amount of time, given his later entrance to the light world.
It's possible. I mean, depending on where the rods and Samaria wind up, it's possible we won't even see some of those extra checks from Tam. Because if we get the lamp next, head up the mountain, that streamlines it to get 3 swords, the mirror, and the book. Flippers are going to be right on Tam's path as well in a moment. So Tam's going to be mostly caught up in terms of items, and possibly with doing less checks than Willard, which is going to definitely close things up a bit between the two.
Yeah, we're equal on dungeons now, though not for too long. Willard, I assume, is going to be able to complete Palace of Darkness since he has a lamp on this visit.
It just depends on where exactly you go next. I assume, though, with the mountain in logic in a moment for Tam,
oh yeah,
that's a super, super appealing choice.
Yeah.
I would hope, too, that we'll even see a dip into Laser Bridge, something we did not see from Willard.
Yeah, well, when you have boots, you can really do the laser skip, so you can't even use that as an excuse to not do it.
Not to be too much of a broken record here, but I'm still absolutely floored by how much health these runners have. It's rare that you see, like, when you see 17 or 18 hearts in a normal, like, easy item pool, like, that alone is, like, wow, that's a lot of health. We're just about at the maximum. Actually, it looks like Willard is at the maximum 4 hard item pool at 14.
That'll do it.
That blue guard, that blue archer was having a little bit of trouble on Tam's screen. Trying to do some overworld glitches and became
Doing
the wall.
his best, okay.
Oh yeah, I mean we've all been there learning overworld glitches where you just get stuck.
Poor guard soft locking himself. Hey DT, did you know that the Palace of Darkness dungeon has many small keys?
Some would say at least 2.
Now that's silly talk. Gosh, who would say that?
Oh, I don't know, but I'm sure he's a wonderful person.
Oh, thanks, DT.
You're
not so bad yourself.
Now you know. Now you know who it was.
Willard,
looks like he's gonna try this. This is not gonna work. There's a lore master here. Wall master.
Willard.
There it is. I see the shadow.
He almost got it.
It was so close.
Almost got it.
Whew.
It's not even the wall master that is making me think it's a bad idea. It's the fact that he's doing Randomizer, and there's that chance that if there are some flying enemies in the Harmless Hellway, they actually just mess with your game and you can't do a hammer yelp. That's why you shouldn't be trying it at all. It's funny that it's the Wallmaster that deters him from doing it.
I mean, giving it a shot is at least still fine, I think. But, yeah, no, that was... that was funny. Hobo, again, not having anything useful. We can actually see what's in the dark mazes.
Tam seems to be headed to the mountain.
And this is going to be good for Tam. Get those couple of swords, get the book, get the mirror.
Couple?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, you know, at least 2.
Correct. Tower of Hera is going to be fully completable for Tam as well.
Yeah, actually, that's one of those things that could really cause a swing if we have something like a Fire Rod or a Samaria up there. That'll give Tam the boost he needs.
Also get to see how harmless that old man cave actually was. Oh, there's the Pengator. There we go. Another one of these fun things about Inverted is taking the old man on an even longer walk.
This is not fun. The fun part is picking up the bush to go slightly less slowly.
Yeah, you do seem to go... Can't believe I'm just not realizing that. It actually seems like Tam's moving a little bit quicker holding the bush than just from having the old man follow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a real strat.
And that's such a long walk
that real strat.
That's such a long walk that actually adds up a bit.
Oh yeah.
Very laggy ether over on Willard's side. Cool, we have a bunch of bombs from... I'm not exactly sure how the ice pack works.
The ice pack is just, you know what? I can't describe it, which means I don't properly understand it. Intuitively, I get it, but I won't. I won't try to explain it.
That's fair. Tam about to get their first sword from inside a spectacle. There's one more in Tower of Hera. There's the third one is on the floating island. So slightly different order. But that's a really, really good thing to find. Setting up this bomb jump in a different way than I've ever seen, and that was very, very cool. I always love it when people do that bomb jump. So starting right with Paradox Cave. 7 more quick items for Tam. I don't remember what enemies were here. We're on 3 hearts, so hopefully there's not like a Hinox or
it was
something.
Tame, I think.
Oh, well, that's a refill anyway, so... I'm still gonna hope it's not a Hinox, but our health is not a concern.
Oh, right. That's
right.
Dose, because
you were talking about the blue boomerang.
Yeah.
It's funny how that reminds you of what happened then.
Speaking of the blue boomerang, Willard is back at the dam.
Oh, he's gonna get another one.
Yeah.
Does that just become like a diamond then, if you put them together? Whatever. Don't even answer that. Let's just go to Swamp Palace and enjoy the game.
Okay. Whoa! Hang on, DT. We get to do one of those 2 things.
We cannot do both. I should have thought before I spoke. And since we are in Swamp Palace, that is fact. We must not be enjoying the game.
I want to say we get to do Diver Down maybe with bombs, but Randomizer might muck with that a little bit. Randomizer's always a bit of a toss-up in Swamp. Sometimes you get enemies that just can't move on the water, and everything's easy, and sometimes you just get really nasty layouts. And sometimes Tam goes up to Hera and is going to show us the rest of the dungeon that Willard never was able to.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Tam has boots, so if he really wanted, he could do the much more reliable, because it doesn't depend on bomb altitudes, spin speed setup.
Yeah, some runners don't like taking the risk of skipping what's in the big chest, especially if there's not an item in the first basement or the map chest. But we did get a sword, so there's only one more item upstairs. This next chest has to be the big key. So there's a little bit less risk in doing that, but certainly the safer play to just get the big key and not miss out on an item at all. And really nicely set up for a death warp. Just take the remaining 2 hearts of damage all at once. Not having faster way back to the beginning of the dungeon.
Yeah, we still don't have that mirror from East Death Mountain on Tam's side.
Just got to be a little bit careful with the movement here since the door to the basement is open.
Well, Willard got Samaria in the 2 flooded chests room, aka the room you want.
And Ice Rod from the waterfall. Well then. We just need a fire rod, folks. And it is not in the Hera big chest. Nor is it in the Tower of Hera at all.
TT, is Moldorm okay?
Looks like he's exploding into bits right now, so probably no.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
Is Argus okay?
No. You know, Willard is one of the only people I know who can consistently get that ice rod set up for phase 2. The fire rod strat is very common. You just hit it twice and then do a spin attack. But the ice rod, with its slower path through the air, is actually quite challenging to get, and it's always nice to see that work out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt.
But Willard, of course, is going to go back into the dungeon. He's got big chest and both on the left side to grab still.
Yeah, probably not the time to skip the rest of this dungeon, so... I mean, it's always debatable. Like, it's not the fastest checks in the world, but honestly, it's not the slowest. And you are looking for just one item, so that could de-incentivize it for some people. Although, I guess I didn't realize he didn't even do the compass chest on his first time through. So, no, he...
Wow. Yeah, he went straight to the boss. I guess... Well, he wasn't close to go mode when he went into the dungeon, but at this point... What? We're just a fire rod away on his side.
I know that Argus had the map. Did we find a compass then? Or is it 2 items on the left, or is it 1?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a great question.
I guess we'll find out. Tam taking real good advantage, though, of the inverted Death Mountain and being able to get the Mimic Cave very easily.
Oh my
just saving
goodness,
and
it's the
quitting
flute.
after getting that flute.
It's the flute. What does the flute do for us in inverted?
At this point... Remire. But I fear for Tam at this point, leaving all of Dark Death Mountain behind, not getting the mirror and book out of Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, that hurts. That's a little scary.
Flute is good quality of life in Inverted, but because we mirror from Light World to Dark World, you can run to the desert area, mirror over to Misery Mire, and you don't need... The Flute is actually not a required item.
Often at this point in the run, if you see a runner pick up the flute, you won't actually see them activate it because, as Tam is showing us here, you have to go all the way to the light world just to turn it on. But from Tam's perspective, you get that flute and you go, yep, that's how I get to Mire area. Cool, I'm gonna go do that.
Perhaps, I mean...
You just don't know when you're Tam that the mirror is right nearby in Hookshot Cave.
The good thing, though, is that, like, the swords are great, but the mirror and the book are really what open things up on Death Mountain, right? So I think Tam basically needs to go back up there. I think Tam could have just been activating the flute quickly, just as that fast travel, although I'm not sure just how beneficial it is at this point in the run.
Oh, I suppose.
It does still get you here, and you can get some information, but...
Yeah. Well, I suppose that in inverted mode, if you get something in the light world part of Death Mountain, you can't just go back to the dark world.
Not immediately, but no. You
Not without the mirror, which is in the dark world. So, yeah. I see why Tam...
No, but
I see why Tam bailed.
I do too. But that's the interesting thing about inverted Death Mountain, is that you could have just saved and quit, start from the mountain, and then you can just run right up to the tower and go east. So, like, it's open from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. It does look like he's doing that here. So that's good. He's not going to miss that. Mirror still in this.
So we'll get those in a moment. I wonder what's more appealing for Tam at this point, then. Probably going to full clear Swamp Palace, which is going to be the correct choice, rather than going to finish Pod, getting most of the items out of it. There's not a whole lot of reason to go back there just yet. Meanwhile, on Willard's side, that's a lot of Gibdos in Misery Mire. Somewhat surprised that he chose to come here first over Ice Palace.
Well, yeah, Misery Mire is a crystal, and Ice Palace is... Oh, we're doing all dungeons.
We're doing all dungeons, so that matters less. We're looking for the Fire Rod, which can't be in Ganon's Tower, so going to do a pendant. I mean, with Icebreaker...
Alright.
Ice Palace is a pretty quick 3 items.
Here's the argument.
Go ahead.
Bombos is really slow to cast, and you have to cast it 3 times to beat the dungeon if you don't have Fire Rod. So all things being equal, you might as well do Mire first on the off chance you pick up a Fire Rod, and then Ice is slightly less slow.
That's fair.
Hey,
well,
look,
there it is
Rod.
anyway.
Now Ice is slightly less slow.
Now Ice is definitely going to be as fast as it can be. I don't know, my concern, or rather, I guess my preference, I shouldn't even say concern, because that's just not correct, I guess. My preference is not full clearing Mire, if I can help it, so...
I mean, everyone wants to not full clear Mire, but there's also that thing where, you know, you might end up with your big key on the right side, or in the vanilla chest or something.
You know, the worst thing about Mire, though, is when you get a God Mire, and you still need items. So yes, that Fire Rod is go mode for WillardJBradley on the left of your screens. All dungeons inverted, so we still have quite a bit to go. There's still quite a bit of game left. But
when I'm in go mode and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dungeons left to clear. And I don't know how sarcastic I'm being when I say that. I actually can't quantify it.
And at least we don't have to look for Castle Tower small keys.
That is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
Hey, speaking of Castle Tower, Tam is just going to take the opportunity to do that right now.
You know what? It's sure needs to be done regardless. And a vanilla big key in Misery Mire. How nice.
How nice.
I can say that, right? Nice, fun. Like, we're not in Swamp Palace anymore, so the game's actually okay.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what you helped me determine.
Yeah. No, Mire's a great dungeon. There's cool tech you can do.
There's magic you can bonk into.
Yeah. No, Mire's a good place.
Yeah, you know, the interesting thing is that every dungeon at this point is going to be a quick one for Willard, including Turtle Rock. Possibly including Turtle Rock. We could, correct me if I'm wrong, like, the big key can be on Laser Bridge in this mode. So, yeah, there might just not be much to look for in Turtle Rock at all. It's a really, really cool dungeon to route in this mode.
It's entirely possible Willard just walks in, gets a big and a small from Laser Bridge, goes straight to Trinex. Boom. And just for absolute safety, Willard's going to use the cape here.
Works well enough. It really doesn't lose any time at all, like literally none. So play it safe, because yeah, you can damage boost through the goop, but if you bop an eyeball instead of the goop, it hurts.
Hurts less if you have better mail.
Well, wouldn't it be great to find better mail then?
It sure would. If only it was in the item pool. If only.
Yeah, we're not going to see it today.
All right. Have you been counting blue balls in Tam's Aga fight? Me neither.
Even if I say I'm going to, I usually forget after like the first 1 or 2 shots. I just don't actively count.
That was definitely not 3. That might have been 2. Ooh. Tam's going back for Dark Cross. This is a time sink he cannot afford right now.
It is, but if you know that you left it behind, and if you're in the area, if you're going to check it, now's the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not going to say you shouldn't do this. It just is a little bit rough. Swamp is where he has to go at this point, but it's going to be hard for Tam to make up the time he's behind by.
I think at this point that might be the case. There's still a lot of game left, but they're, 75 minutes in. There is a fairly noticeable gap between these runners. And that if Tam goes to Swamp right now, that's absolutely the direction. Because like you said, Canis Amaria, you've got Ice Rod there, which leads directly to the Fire Rod in Misery Mire. But we are going to see Tam go and finish off the Palace of Darkness first.
Yeah, I like that.
I do too.
Like this.
You can perfectly justify it by saying that it was open fairly early in the logic chain.
Well, I wonder if those chests he didn't get in Dark Maze are weighing on him a bit.
It's very possible. That's something I think every runner has experienced and been through. Like, what if there was something there? My opponent could have gotten it. Yeah, really interesting the number of places that just haven't had a whole lot of anything.
Well, yeah, when Death Mountain has 2 of your required progressions, and then what? Between Swamp and Mire, you get your last 3 Go Mode items in reasonably quick succession. That'll do it.
Right. I mean, we don't need to get the Quake Medallion. We're not going to see Willard get the Flute. Getting the hammer
don't
jump,
believe
though,
it.
that was
Well
so
done,
good.
Tam.
Keeping that spin charged, releasing it like at the last moment, like just before that bomb exploded to kill the Wallmaster.
That's a gamer moment right there.
That was excellent. All right, Willard, I want to see you go back and do that before you do any other dungeons.
Go back to the dungeon he's beaten to do hammer jump.
Yes, that's exactly what I said. He's not going to do it, though. He doesn't listen to me.
You know this guy's on your team, right? And he needs to win for you to get the points?
I'm an unbiased commentator.
I mean, I am too. It just sounds like you're rooting against him when you want him to do that.
I just like the funny things. I mean... No, I know that would be absolutely silly to go back to a dungeon you've already done, to go and do something that you don't even know somebody wants you to do.
That is the other aspect to it. Man, Ice Palace is so great when you don't have to clear anything other than just go straight to the end.
It really is. Like, even in the NMG speedrun, I know there's no icebreaker for that, but it's still a satisfying place to be able to just go right through and not have to do anything in. We'll see if Willard hangs out here for an extra second or two, make sure there's no surprises in this room. Which I think we're safe at this point.
Yeah, I think the time he spent going over to powder the anti-fairy is enough to make sure that, yep, we have no wall masters in this room. Because those are nasty.
Okay, just go right for the fire rod, get that last triple.
That works. That works well. So that's a second pendant for Willard. This is really great because he can go into the light world, walk through the Lost Woods, mirror right outside the back of Skull Woods. And then once he beats Mothula, he'll be able to go back into his mirror portal and check the pedestal, right?
Yes. Yes, he will be able to. I don't think we're going to see that happen.
Aww, okay. Okay, fine.
So, for those of you that might have just come on in, and you're looking at where we're at with these items, why Willard had his Fire Rod, Ice Rod, and Samaria, whereas Tam still needs those. Which I do think that Tam is going to go and get them in just a moment. Swamp Palace has to be the next real play at this point. Just a quick recap on what we've been at on this seed is a Moon Pearl in the back of Thieves Town, which Willard decided to go for all in one go, while Tam went over to the Palace of Darkness. And that alone does not add up to much, but the progression chain, the way that we found items very, very quickly on Willard's end, it just fell into place very, very cleanly in his routing.
Willard also managed to pick up an earlier mirror from the mountain, which got him the boots a fairly substantial chunk of time ahead of his opponent. Boots leading immediately to Flippers and a Lamp in the two boots locked Light World locations. And that, of course, gave him Swamp Palace access, all those things considered. Which Tam is doing now, which is going to get 2 of the last 3 pieces of the puzzle.
And then there's the question, I guess the same question that I had faced or presented when Willard had gotten the Cane of Samaria and Ice Rod is, do you go, and I'm going to interrupt myself because that was a very, very clean moth fight on Willard's end.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, we'll see if Tam faces the same fork in the road, though, of deciding between Ice Palace and Misery Mire. Both will be beatable. Fire Rod is in Misery Mire. Basically one of the first checks that you'll make in the dungeon.
Mhm.
So just a save and quit. Everything else for Willard at this point is on the mountain.
Pretty much. Yeah, this
actually
works out nicely.
You know, like I'm realizing too another playoff of the word inverted. In a normal all dungeon seed, you'll see Aga Tower after Ganon's Tower pretty frequently, right? In this case, we're going to see Aga Tower right into Ganon's Tower.
It's a huge pain to have to start at Link's house in the Dark World, go all the way to the Light World, and then loop around going through Hyrule Castle to get on the roof for GT. Alternatively, you can just walk into the GT entrance, clear Aga Tower, and boom, you're in the Light World.
Little surprised that he's entering TR from the front. Being that this is inverted, entering from Laser Bridge is an option, and then even if the big key's not on Laser Bridge, you'll be able to backtrack through the dungeon, and then once you find the big keys, by that point you'll have enough smalls. You just need the one, really.
Yeah.
You would be able to just mirror back to Laser Bridge and go straight for Trinet.
Yeah, I mean, if he ended up leaving the dungeon, going outside, coming back in for the big chest, then he can't mirror back to the Laser Bridge entrance. But also, if he does that, something's gone very wrong, because he should just mirror as soon as he gets the big key.
Another thing I'm considering right now, though, is that maybe he just goes through Chain Chomps and leaves right now anyway. It can still be a little bit time-consuming to go from back fully to the front.
Yeah. This does let him hedge his bets a bit. It makes it... It's a fair amount of time to go to the Laser Bridge and then switch things up and come through the front, only to go through the back again. By doing this, he at least says, hey, I can do this all from the back of the dungeon.
I think at this point, though, if you're going to go... Not through Laser... If you go in from the front and you go to Chain Chomps here, I'm wondering if it might just be better off to stay on the course and just stick with it.
Yeah. Yeah, if he has the small keys, which he actually does.
And there's the big key. So in this case, no, you go to Laser Bridge. That's...
Yeah. Hop out.
Okay, so hindsight, of course, I think this actually works out better for him.
Yeah. Don't ask him about it. He'll tell you he did exactly the right thing.
Yeah, and that he knew what he was doing, and... Yeah, no, you're right. Quick bonk there on those rocks, just refill that health.
He even gets the fairy right there. He knows what he's doing.
Hello, Anti-Fairy. So, Phylian.
So, DT.
Our 7th crystal is going to be the Tower of Hera. I know that there's a big key game thing that chat loves to play. Aghanim's Tower is not a crystal. At what point does the game start?
Whenever you want it to,
Is
DT.
it going to be the longest game ever?
Whenever you want.
That's a fine answer with me.
It's up to you. You get this power.
I don't know what to do with that power.
Oh no! The real power, of course, is the Swamp Palace staircase that Tam got stuck in.
Yeah, that was an annoyance for a lot of people for a real long time until someone eventually figured out that dashing into it from, I guess even from the side, but if you start at the very bottom of the room, it's, I guess, the right distance to effectively be a key dash, even though there's no key to it there. And you can avoid that second trip.
Oh, is that what you do? I thought you had to bonk into the south wall.
That's a new one. I don't believe I've heard. Maybe that sets you up at the right number of pixels away from it too.
Maybe.
As I mean, if it's a key dash, then it's just a multiple of 4. Something about 25% of the time.
Yeah. So if you've seen Willard fight Trinex recently, I think a week ago was the other time. This is a boring Trinex fight, since it is not on ice, and he has plenty of sword power.
And usually those fights go a lot faster too, but he was just standing there in the doorway for like a minute. And
No, DT, no! No! Okay, fine. Let's see if Tam can... doesn't quite get that ice rod.
Almost got one of them. Didn't quite get that second one, but we'll get the spin here.
So
Finish
hard
off
to
Argus.
set up.
So quick trip back to the Tower of Hera. This is going to be just a very quick Hera pot up there now. There's nothing that's going to help us at this point. Not even Blue Mail, because as we've discussed, it does not exist in this mode. First try. Like, actual first try, wow.
Actual first try. None of that fake first try joke that we always make.
So we do see Tam making the Bombos check that we had theorized might be able to be skipped earlier on. But this does put Tam in a very good position to at least go through Desert Palace looking for Fire Rod, as well as Misery Mire looking for Fire Rod. So definitely on the right track.
Yeah, he's definitely going to hit go mode here. It's just going to be a little late in the run. Willard now having completed 8 of the 10 all dungeons.
But starting with Desert Palace, probably my preference of the two. For a couple of reasons. One, it's better, it's the same number of items, there's 2 items in both dungeons. It's better chests per minute, because you can just get everything really fast here. And 2, you beat Desert first, you go into Mire. Normally, like, my second reason for this preference doesn't apply for this mode. Having full hearts going into Misery Mire is usually a really good thing because of Mire 2 with all of the Wiz Robes. Right now, Mire 2 is full of like 18 Gibdos, so that's not going to help. Sword Beams are not beneficial there.
Nah, sword beams hurt Gibdos. They're probably the least effective way to hurt Gibdos, though, you're right.
But on the note of quick dungeons, the Castle Tower climb itself only taking about 2 minutes. Depending on RNG, perhaps a little bit more. Depending on Randomizer, perhaps a little bit more, I suppose. It's been fairly tame, though, as we saw through Tam's screen earlier. And then we know that it's going to be a quick Aga fight. I believe Chad had said that there were only 2 blue balls throughout the whole thing.
I said that, too. But yeah, Tempered Sword makes the Aga Tower climb fairly trivial.
And go ahead, keep using that magic. We'll get a free refill after Aghanim. So by all means, make those Stelphos a little bit easier to deal with.
I am very glad that neither runner got grabbed by that Wall Master, because that is just cruel. I don't actually think it's as punishing as the Ice Palace one, but in some ways it feels worse. I don't know.
definitely feels worse when it's an entire tower. And that's why I try to remind people that the tower climb itself is only about 2 minutes. So it's not the biggest time sink in the world. I think it's just like, it's just not a place you want it to happen. You don't want it to happen anyway. But
No.
you don't want it to happen there.
But isn't Ice Palace just a tower that goes underground?
Is that really a tower then?
I don't know.
Or is it a canyon? Oof, Tam dashing
No,
right
no, he's
into
got a ferry.
chain
He's got a
jump.
ferry.
I
I thought he picked up ferries in a cave.
They must have gotten used then. Yeah, that's another one of the fun things about Randomizer is you don't know what you're dashing into sometimes. And by the time you see it, it's just too late. Very low magic at this point, not even enough to use Bombos or Ether.
Ooh,
Even if
yeah,
Tam wanted to. Looks like it's just a sliver too low.
annoying.
So this is a very annoying room right now. Alright, so we're going into... You can't bonk into that one. Going into Ganon's Tower. We'll see if this is quick or not.
How do you think Willard feels about his routing right now?
You're in Ganon's Tower just after 90 minutes on an all-dungeon seed. You've got to feel pretty good, I think. Like, your opponent could have easily done the same thing. We know that Willard's comfortably ahead, but I think at this point, no matter the outcome, you've got to feel pretty good about how you played.
Mm-hmm. I think if you look back, Boots could have been earlier, but not by a ton. I don't think Willard, aside from Hera, ever had to double dip a dungeon.
I believe that's correct.
Desert, but
Okay.
but the trip back to Desert was fairly tame, since he was in Mire, anyways. So, yeah, that all worked out fairly well for him.
So, yeah, you say that the boots could have been slightly earlier, and the thing is, as a runner, you can't get caught up in having a thought like that, because
No.
you're going to find a situation, if you find one situation like that in a seed, that's a good seed. You're going to normally find many things that could have been earlier in just about every game that you play. That was the emptiest room I've ever seen an Randomizer in there.
Just filled with Bubusu? The shadow guys?
But yeah, no, you can't spend too much time worrying about the what could have been. You got to look at the end result, and at this point, Willard's played a very, very good game to be at this point right now. We have seen so many green 20s.
Yeah, and I have to think most of those are probably for heart pieces that got taken out of the pool for hard item pool, which just means that this game wanted them to have even more health than they actually got.
So approaching Ice Armos, we have full arrows. Not a concern there. Being chased out by an Igor, that's interesting. This will be a nice, quick fight. Maybe even better than his first Armos fight.
Gosh, I hope so.
Yeah, because like you do the during the rest of the arrows, and then you can just fire them left, and it's a pretty clean fight.
He still seems to hate the walls for reasons I do not understand.
I mean, they're in the way. They are preventing you from going to the next room.
That's true. If we didn't have walls in the game, we could just walk straight to the Triforce from Hyrule Castle.
That's true that we could. So Big Key was in location number 17. Congratulations. Play again next time. And speaking of next times, you can have one more chance at that tonight for the Invitational League. 8:10 p.m. on SpeedGaming 2. There's a race between Andy of Pug Trio and Sailor Net of the 2019 Titans Myths of 2019. So if you want more League Rando action, be sure to check that out.
Sorry, is their team name the 2019 Titans Myths of 2019?
I just read the schedule, that's what it says.
Okay. I just listened to what you say, so...
And for even more League Rando, at 9:10 on the ALTTPR League Twitch channel, there is another Open League race between Windfox 470 and Scrub Casual.
Did you know that Scrub Casual is not actually bad at the game, but is in fact fairly talented at it? The name might fool you, but don't let it.
It's one of them good old deception tactics, huh?
Mm-hmm. Similarly, Andy's name is not Andy.
I don't have a response to that. I was trying to think of one relating to the game, but I got nothing. So, yeah, just a little bit more detail about the settings that we're playing here. Just another quick recap of where we've been at. Inverted, enemy shuffle, all dungeons are the main highlights of these settings in this game right now. And, you know, that has the potential to be a doozy of a seed. I would have to say, as far as inverted seeds go, and especially with all dungeons with the added length from that, this one has actually been relatively tame. And a lot of the enemy placements have been fairly good. Yeah, we've had some rollers in places. I haven't seen either runner really get holed up on something, though, until this room that Willard's in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. The enemy placements were fairly kind. Aside from that fireball, we got to stop saying things. DT. But yeah, fairly kind enemies, all things considered. Nice early pile of hearts for the runners. And of course, I think an important part of this run was both knew what they were doing on Hammer Blind.
Absolutely a highlight from both runners, that both of those fights were as clean as they were. That can be an incredibly difficult fight. Early game in inverted can be incredibly difficult on its own. But both handled it very, very well.
And then, yeah, as we said, Willard has been able to do, what, more than half of the game? Or half of the dungeons, I should say, in Go mode.
Which is always a good feeling. And they were, I would even say, too, they were the right dungeons. It wasn't you're in Go mode looking through all of Palace of Darkness for the big key. It wasn't a normal Turtle Rock where you're going through the whole place in Go mode. None of those dungeons that he had remaining took more than a couple of minutes each. Wisely stopping his dash there before bonking into that skull enemy.
I hate that skull enemy being right there.
There's always something right in the middle of the room.
It looks fine, and then you're like, oh, no, I don't get the dash.
Get a double right away on Aga 2. Could be good for another double. And a triple. That actually, I wasn't sure he was going to get that. And there's the last one. That's about as nice of an Aga 2 fight as you're going to ask for. And entering Ganon now. Once again, 14 hearts, green male. He's more than familiar enough. NMG. And of course, he's just been playing the game long enough that this is not really a concern at all at this point. Already into phase 2, got the 1 cycle on phase 1. Handling this phase 2 like an absolute champ right now. Really, really nice patience on the dashes, and then going down to get one more double spin.
Dashing in the circle is actually not as difficult as it looks. It's just very bad when you mess it up.
Mm-hmm. And the green pendant from Ice Palace for Tam, just Skull Woods and Turtle Rock to go before going through GT. Unfortunately, not the quickest GT just because of where that big key wound up. But still a very, very clear path at this point to the end of the run.
You know that, did you find the arrows on Planet Zeeb's thing was funnier before we got combo rando?
Yeah, because now you can actually find the arrows there. And even more so because they're the actual silver arrows. It's just going to hang out on the bottom, just be a little bit patient to make sure he can still get as many triples as possible. Nearly to the end of his magic supply, but far enough along in this fight that he'll be okay.
I haven't been counting, but he can fall back on Lamp for one last round if he really needs it, which he does.
You know, I wasn't counting either, and I guess he needed
There we go.
Just for one more hit. So that worked out. At least he had that lamp usage. That is a GG for WillardJBradley with an official time of 1 hour, 43 minutes, 57 seconds, putting WJPDTB, or as Phylene says, Wajipede, up to a 2-1 lead in this series. Game 4 to be determined, because I assume that chat's going to ask at some point, and I don't blame them, because Game 4 is going to be really
Game 4?
Ask me in chat and I'll answer it. Yeah, we don't actually know yet. As someone that's on the team, we haven't even fully decided who is going to be playing in it yet. But yeah, that'll go on the schedule hopefully in the next day or two. Question in chat about when is Game 4? I don't know.
Okay, cool.
So we'll see what kind of a route Tam is going to take through Turtle Rock. Again, the big key was in the Chain Chomp chest, so I think it actually worked out better to start from the front and then go to Laser Bridge. But we'll see if we get that cool Laser Bridge routing that you can see in Inverted. I think we are.
Not the greatest path, given the location of Big Key at Chomps. And, well, we saw 2 small keys earlier, but when you go backwards through the dungeon, you don't really need small keys.
Right, because you can just wind up walking through those doors or coming up through the staircase through that door.
I can't believe the game designers didn't anticipate people going through the dungeon backwards.
Maybe they did, and maybe that's why there's a small key on Laser Bridge in vanilla.
Yeah. No, that'd do it.
Maybe. Hey, Willard, we're talking about Laser Bridge right now. Can you come back in a minute? I mean, hi, GG's. Congratulations on your win.
Hey, thanks. That was fun. Just kidding.
Could have fooled me. We saw you in Swamp Palace. In all seriousness.
Wait, sorry. Explain that joke?
Well,
it's a callback. It's a comedic device to reference something that happened earlier in the commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, it's kind of awkward because I wasn't there for that, so I don't know what you're talking about.
You missed it. I assure you, it was very funny. We both chuckled.
I didn't really have any way to respond to that, but continue.
That's totally fair. I know I don't know. So in all seriousness, inverted all dungeons. You knew it was going to be a longer seed. You knew it was going to be more difficult in the beginning because of inverted.
Mhm.
And this is that's a remarkable time.
Yeah, I'm just thankful that I got the boots sub hour this time. I'd only done 2 practice seeds of this flag set for this race, and this was actually, I think, really, really close to the exact same time I got my practice yesterday. Give or take. But yeah, inverted is rough. It's a lot of lengthy checking overworld stuff is just really time consuming and lengthy. Especially if you don't have boots or, some of the routing conveniences like the flute that apparently existed somewhere. Where was that?
Mimic Cave.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I goofed on Death Mountain. I saved and quit out, and I was like, oh yeah, I was supposed to do Spiral Cave. Oh yeah, I was gonna dip into T-Rock. Oh yeah, I could do Ether Tablet. Oh well. Didn't matter, I guess. I got bailed out.
No, ultimately not. A lot of the early game routing, like the moment you got the Pearl, Tam was actually over in Palace of Darkness and had a little bit of a time sink trying to go through the Dark Maze without anything more of an indication of location than bombs, arrows, and a hammer.
Yeah, that's a tough call right there.
It is. It's one of those things you keep trying once you're there, and unfortunately for Tam, it just didn't work out. So that gave you a bit of a lead early on.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you got your Moon Pearl, and then after Tam got the Moon Pearl, the routing was a little bit different, and a lot of the items for you just fell right into place, just the way that you went. And for instance, the mirror, which was really the big item in this case, leading to Ice Rod and Samaria, the mirror was a bit later for Tam than for you compared to your Moon Pearls.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, it was all the checks were kind of close together if you think about it. Like, you grab the mitts to get the smith, to turn in purple chest for boots, to get flippers and the lamp, which gives you access to Death Mountain, and then grab the mirror book and you're on your way pretty much. So I was fortunate enough that I never had to dip into, like, I think the only things I ended up skipping were those things I mentioned on Death Mountain, the front of Hyrule Castle and Uncle, and Pyramid Fairy, but I wasn't going to check that one anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was, I think with Inverted, it's really kind of tricky finding a way to efficiently route the beginning. So I can see, Tam taking the pod dip. But it's tough. I was just happy that I got out of Thieves Town without dying. That blind fight was a little spicy.
There was. You were down to 2 hearts. You actually took damage from a fireball and then had iframes to get through one of the 2 heart contact damages.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was great to watch.
Fortunately, it wouldn't have cost me too much if it happened, but it was nice to be like, all right, I did this. I made this happen. Also, I liked using the gold bee on the Hellway. That was a good call.
You know what? You gotta improvise with Randomizer, and that worked.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing more to say than that. It worked.
Yep. Now I guess the question is, who's doing game 4? I've already volunteered, by the way, so but we'll talk it out. Yeah, I wasn't sure how this was gonna go between the 2 of us, so I was a little shocked when I pulled up the restream after I finished and saw how different it was. I was like, oh, okay. But I think I'd chalk it up to just Inverted. The enemy shuffle wasn't too bad, but Inverted in general is just
Mm-hmm. So a lot of, I would honestly say the biggest time differences here came from a lot of little things between routing. Tam seemed to have a little bit more difficulty with the enemy shuffle. But of course, an incredibly, depending on any number of choices, it could have gone the opposite way. So
yep, yeah, very easily could have. I'm just glad I got the boots. That put a smile on my face. And I only had to double dip a few dungeons, so
Yeah, Desert, Hera, I think were pretty much it, and those are quick enough.
yeah, I couldn't Herapot, I think because of enemy shuffle or something. So
Mhm.
I only gave it one shot, and I was like, nope, I'm out. Also, 3 swords on Death Mountain. Hello.
Yeah,
Very, very happy to get those out of Logic.
that was really, really nice quality of life for a bit. Didn't really unlock anything at the moment, but good to have up until the point where you were ready to do like Misery Mire.
No, just having a sword with, and then getting boots, it just means you have a little bit safer chance running around. These settings, difficulty-wise, at least for me, weren't too bad. I think I only had one unintentional death, and that was because a fake Master Sword didn't hit the bird on my way to... I think it was on my way to Village of Outcasts or something.
Oh, that was quite funny, yeah.
Right at the beginning, but I was very happy to see like Cane of Burna. That came in huge, even just trying to get into Eastern Palace with those 2 stupid rollers in the way.
Yeah, you made real good use of Burna throughout the course of the run.
Yeah, I mean, that Burna alone gave me the confidence to do any dark rooms at the moment. And then I held off on Pod for as long as I felt like I could have go-moded it if I had done Swamp first, but I was, trying to think of, okay, these are dungeons that I'm sure my opponent has already been to, because they're, Sphere 2, 1 or something, they're early. So
quick note about Pod, you had a little bit of a friend when you were trying to hammer jump.
Yeah, I heard him, and then I saw him, and then I tried to quickly slash it and then get bombed across. That didn't work out. And then out of anger, I dashed up, and then of course there's an anti-fairy waiting for me at the end of the bridge. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, one of those things that doesn't work out in the runner's favor too often in Randomizer, but always fun to see.
Yeah, I think for the most part, the enemy shuffle was pretty tame compared to some of the practices I've seen, or even Randomizer week of the regular season.
I would agree with that, and I think one part that's perhaps often understated is in the dark rooms, the number of enemies that you had that were already visible, so you knew what you were up against. There weren't a whole lot of surprises.
Like the ones in Eastern, like I could see all of them, so I was like, okay, I don't need to use Burna here. I can just hookshot him and keep going. And it helped that the seed was very healthy. Like I had 10 hearts really early, for the most part, and I really liked using Ether for these first 2 rooms of GT. It just speeds it up so fast. Because those enemies are obnoxious. I only ended up buying 1 blue potion that I never ended up using. But it was also nice to have a safety fairy with me literally the entire game after getting the bug net. Oh yeah, that's all I got to say.
Fair enough. Well, your win puts your team, our team, at 2-1 in the series. Certainly not set. There's up to, I guess only up to 2 more games that we can play here. But there is still more rando coming out of these 2 teams to see who moves on to the division finals.
You say up to 2 games, DT. I say at least 2. So
this isn't Pod Smallkeys, Philian.
it's still at least. I don't know.
This okay. It would be at least, but at that point it would also be.
Oh, you're right. It's not necessarily a full 2. It might be over with just 1 more.
It
Sorry, I'll go back to my coffee. I seem to need it.
You're doing fine. Well, GG's again, Willard. That was good fun to watch.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for commentating. I'll sit around until Tam finishes so I can wish him a GG. But you guys do your thing. I'll be listening.
Coming to you live from Ganon's Tower in the Gauntlet, Tam has cleared the first ice room. Now moving on to the second one with horse heads everywhere.
Horse heads and a popo. Moving along to Lanmo 2. When did we turn into a golf channel?
Yep, absolutely we did.
fairly routine here. Not boss shuffle, so one room in the tower that's at least familiar to us. I guess there's going to be two more. Well, one more. We had one before, Ice Armos. Maldorm 2 is going to be just as normal as it ever is. Just a couple of guards here where there's normally Wizrobes. Can be a little bit awkward because most runners just kind of dip down left and then down right, and I wonder if most people don't actually know where the full length of that invisible floor goes.
I'm realizing as I watch Tam do that, I certainly don't.
It's actually a surprising amount of floor you can walk on. Like, from the bottom door, you can actually walk right and up and get to where the rightmost enemy is.
Well, and the enemy can move down and out of there, as we saw. I can't believe Tam got across that bridge. Actually, I can totally believe it, because A, I saw it, and B, what we often forget about fire snakes is that only the front part of the snake matters. You can
Just like with lasers.
you can run through the rest of it. Don't try that at home in real life, kids. The fire snakes in your house do exist as a hitbox for the whole body.
And there goes that red Igor just straight out of the room. So yeah, just again, it really has been a fairly tame set of enemies throughout this run. You get a couple of rooms like that first. I guess it's not the first one, but the crystal room that's right after Mimics 2, before we start the gauntlet. That one looked like it had a couple of rollers, but they weren't moving in sync, and they weren't super in your way.
Yeah.
And even this pinball room, aside from the one enemy that just happens to be right in the middle that you can't dash through, which Tam is going to find out right now. Fortunately, the hard hat beetles, have a little bit of trouble moving around on these floors as well.
Yeah, and a hook shot just takes them out, which is great that we don't actually have to kill them, because hard hat beetles have some of the highest health. The red ones, at least, have some of the highest in the whole video game.
That is true. Tam getting a triple off of phase 1 of Aga 2, followed by a double. That second Aga shot was actually eaten by the ceiling. So it looks like...
Oh, and another one was eaten.
Might have thought that he only needed one more at that point.
Yeah. Still not a bad fight.
No, not at all. Patterns were friendly. And now Tam also dropping into the Ganon fight. Again, being hard item pool, we only have green mail. We do not have silver arrows. One interesting thing, it's rare enough to see one runner get the maximum amount of health. I don't think I've ever seen both runners get the maximum amount of health.
Oh, surely I've seen it in hard mode before.
You must watch more hard mode than I do, then.
Well, it's just not that rare for it to happen in hard mode, because you just need each runner to get to 14 hearts on their own, which
Fair.
I'm never going to claim it happens all the time, but it happens frequently enough.
I guess that could be a thing. Tam having a real nice 1-on-1 for phases 1 and 2. On to phase 3 with a full magic meter. So very, very routine at this point. Inverted seeds throw you for a loop. The Randomizer portion, that can catch you off guard too. But at this point, Ganon is just as routine as it ever is.
I just had a vision of Randomizing Ganon. So you drop into this room, and there's a single Popo. You tap it with your hook shot, and you walk to the Triforce.
I don't know if we're ready for that yet.
I am never ready for that.
I mean,
I do not want that to happen.
What does that mean for where Ganon could be? Like the Hyrule Castle Ball and Chain Guard?
No, you spawn the second Ganon with crowd control.
Oh, that's right. If you've ever wanted to see the game lag... Yeah, very clean phase 4. Not going to be able to get a triple off of that fire out, but that doesn't matter. That was hit number 12. And folks, get those GGs in chat for Tam. Walking across that bridge, finishing with an official 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 3 seconds.
Ooh, I want to retime that just for the 20202.
You do that.
Now I'm good, thanks. And speaking of Tam, hello!
Alright, GG.
GG. Sorry, I have a Pop-Tart in my mouth.
Willard.
So I'll start this off basically the same way I started with Willard's questioning. Knowing that this was inverted in all dungeons right off, knew that it was going to be a longer seed, knew that it was going to be something you have to be wary of. The enemies can be not so nice. I guess with a mode like this, what were you expecting going into it, and I guess how did you feel about it as it unfolded?
I've had a pretty miserable few days of practice because I'm really not a fan of these mirrors, inverted in particular. But they're not really that. I didn't expect too much difficulty as long as we didn't have some kind of stupid thieves down for progression. And we did have thieves down for having progression, but it wasn't too difficult to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's long. Which kind of sucks because I don't want to have to deal with Randomizer for 2 hours, but I did, so.
That's fair. Definitely not the easiest thing to handle at times. And then there's instances where there's just things well beyond your control, like in Misery Mire dashing into that chain chomp that by the time you see it, it's just too late. Some of the placements don't always work out.
That was extra silly because I'm used to, in Maya, running to that section on the left and having the enemies be on the top layer. So I went to dash up and I just got hit by the roller twice, which was pretty unfortunate.
Oh yeah, I got hit by that too. And I was like, no, you're supposed to be on the top floor. What are you doing? Was your go mode Fire Rod, or what was it?
It was Fire Rod.
Yeah, okay. I figured. What time did you get the boots?
Boots, I did Death Mountain in Logic, so the boots were kind of my last sort of-ish logical check. And then, because I went to the mountain kind of late, I had pretty much everything late. I got the stuff in Swamp late, and I went to Desert and Maya late. So it was just kind of bad. I mean, I checked out Maya first when I got the flute, but I just did the shed and didn't go inside.
Gotcha. Yeah, I completely missed the flute because I got the mirror out of Spiral or whatever, out of Death Mountain, and then saved and quit after I figured out what the T-Rock medallion was, so that could have been bad.
I don't know how you ended up doing Death Mountain, but I went up with, hookshot and everything, so I rescued the old man and then just hookshot right without the mirror, so I got the stuff in hookshot cave. Lost, which was kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I ended up sequence breaking. I got the boots at like 42 minutes, but I ended up doing like Eastern and Death Mountain without the lamp, which was nice. Getting the swords that early.
Without the lamp, but not Death Mountain. So I usually don't bother trying to risk that.
Yeah.
In the dark.
The only things I really skipped was Front of Hyrule Castle, Uncle, those spots up on Death Mountain. That's pretty much it. I kind of liked just knocking out as much overworld as possible. And then, of course, Swamp had to have 2 of the items I needed. So I was like, all right, well, this Fire Rock could be anywhere. So.
I figured like I probably should have gone to Swamp right after getting Mirror, but I just put it off a little bit.
Yeah. Swamp and Ice are kind of frustrating, especially Ice. Like, I was not going to go to Ice without Samaria, for sure, just because of Randomizer screwing up with the bomb jump. I was not going to risk that.
Yeah, I was getting pretty ready to like finish up Swamp and Desert and have to go to Ice for everything, and then Swamp just had everything, so I didn't have to deal with that.
Glad those settings are over, and we don't have to play them.
Definitely.
Hopefully.
If I get to play another game, my choices will be open mode and no enemy shuffle.
Okay. Good to know.
That's a joke. But
good to know. Writing it down. Yeah, I don't think we've talked about who's doing game 4 yet, so we'll have our people contact your people, and then we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
But GG's, man.
Yeah, sure.
And I do want to say, Tam, your hammer jump with a floor master was awesome.
That was beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I knew that was there, so on my way to pod, I figured out that I could do that. I was also pretty proud of getting the GT cutscene skip. That was the thing I was proudest of the whole seed.
Very good. Very good. I don't know. I don't have many more questions. Any more questions, even.
I do not either. So, between Tam, Willard, if either of you have anything else you want to throw in, chat about quickly, feel free to. Otherwise, we are probably just going to sign on out.
Inverted's a bad mode. Take it out
Agree.
for season next one, and stick it in mystery and nothing else. That's it. Have a good day.
Yeah, thanks to you guys for the commentary and restream and everything.
Oh,
Sure
you're very...
You are... I'm talking over Phylon now. You are very welcome.
And hey, big shout outs again to 2D Tones for the tracking. Because some of your map checks runners were way too quick, and yet 2D Tones still managed to handle all that. So well done. Yeah, beyond that, as we said earlier, there are a couple races on the ALTTPR League channels, from the Open League. We've got the ALTTPR League Windfox against Scrub Casual at 9:10 p.m. And then on SpeedGaming 2, we've got Vortex of Doom versus Purity Wong at 11:10 p.m. And then from the Invitational League tonight at 8:10 p.m., which is in just under an hour, also on SpeedGaming 2, Andy versus Sailor Nep. So all those matchups worth watching, worth sticking around on SpeedGaming for. I've been Phylon. DT is going to play us out here. Have a great night, everyone.
And I've been DT. Along with Phylon, thanks again to 2D Tones for tracking, and GG's to both of our runners, WillardJBradley taking a win over Tam to give WJPDTB a 2-1 series lead in this series. Best of at least, but definitely exactly 5. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Hope you have a great day, great evening, and enjoy some more rando coming up in less than an hour.